So now let's talk about the new and updated Chorus-Ensemble effect that was added into Live version 11. So here I have a very simple operator patch. It's basically just a saw wave. Because that way we have a lot of rich harmonics, so we can easily show off what the new chorus effect is doing. So here's the new device loaded in. You'll notice that it has quite a bit of visual overhaul on the interface, and also some really cool new modes that were added in. So we'll be talking about all of these, some ideas on how to use them, and then how to kind of set up everything and what the features do. So the main mode is the classic mode. This is the basic sound of a chorus that you think of whenever you're using a chorus. It's that very washed out 80s type tone. And this is the main chorus mode that they had previously on the previous version of the effect. Then we have the ensemble mode, which as you can see on this visual interface has a little bit different of a phasing pattern. This one's a bit more even. I find that it's a little bit less washed out sounding. It's a bit clearer. Especially in terms of the stereo image of the signal. Then we have the vibrato mode, which is basically like a pitch shifting LFO. This could be really great if you want those indie rock Mac DeMarco style guitars. You can load this up on your guitar patch, and add just a little bit of a weird vibrato to everything, and make some really great indie rock guitars. Okay, so let's start talking about the first mode, the classic mode. This will introduce two different types of phase into the signal, giving us that nice washy sound. And then the first feature that was added in that's very nice to have now is going to be this high pass filter. So this is going to chop out all the bass frequencies. If I go ahead and turn this all the way up, it'll chop out all the sub frequencies. So this could be especially nice if you want to put chorus on a big bass line, for example. Let's say you're doing like a Juno 60 style bass, or you want to put this on some sort of elaborate Reese bass tone. You can take this device and chop out all the bass. So whenever you blend in the chorus effect, you're not getting tons of sub bass that's being thrown out super wide in your stereo image. The other control here is the width control, which will control the stereo width. So you have a mono effect or a very wide stereo effect. You can also go over 100%. So you can see here it's set to 200. So that throws it out super wide, where this is kind of the default. So depending on the type of effect that you want to make, you can always go in and adjust that. And then we have these three controls here at the bottom, which remain consistent across all three modes. You have the rate, controlling the speed of the modulation. You can also see it reflected on this new interface, which makes it a lot easier to see what's happening. You have the amount, which increases the amplitude and modulation amount. So you can kind of increase the intensity of your effect. Then you have the feedback mode, which will basically feed the signal back into itself, kind of like a flanger would. So it can give you some really weird sounds on very high values. And make sure to watch your volume as well. It can get quite loud once you start feeding back a lot into your signal. So if you're on a set of speakers, just be careful with this not to make it too loud. And then here we have this polarity invert button, which will kind of adjust the way that things are phasing. So it gives me two different ways of phasing my signal. You want to make sure for that you're on a set of headphones or a set of stereo speakers, because basically it's changing the way that things are phasing in the stereo image. Then we have the ensemble effect, which is the next mode. This is kind of that cleaner chorusy mode. Go ahead and set this to all its default state. Which could be really great if you want to take a sound, give it just a little bit of movement and stereo width, but you don't want that heavy 80s chorusy style effect, especially on things like backing vocals too. Just to make everything sound a bit more lush, this mode could be super great. You have the same two modes here as well, the width control, just adjusting the stereo width. You can go up to 200 with that one, or you can chop out the bass frequencies. So if we were to make a quick patch, we could do something like this. Gives me a bit more natural of a sound rather than this, which is a bit more phasey. And then we have the third mode, which is the vibrato mode. You notice on this one that the dry wet is turned off. That's because this is going to be fully wet on the signal. Then we chop out the bass, and then it sounds like this. So by itself, right now it's pretty intense because the amount is turned all the way up. Usually the way that this is used is on a very slow setting with just a slow amount to to kind of get that like tape wobble sound. This type of thing could be really great. Additionally, you have an offset control, which will adjust your stereo offset. So if you want to send things out super wide, you can adjust the phase of the left and right channels. Which can give you some interesting stereo effects, or you can adjust the shape of everything. You can see now this is more of a triangle wave when it's set to 100%. So this is a bit less smooth of a modulation, and whenever it's set to its basic sine wave, it's going to be a bit smoother of a sound. Then you have some basic controls here and output, basically just adjusting the volume. So if your signal is getting too loud, sending it into your next device, you can just adjust that output control to prevent any clipping. You have a basic dry-wet knob here, just to control the amount of the effect being blended in. And that works in the first two modes, but doesn't work on the last vibrato mode, just because of the way this device is set up. And then you have the warmth control, which gives you a little bit more of an analog style sound, giving you just a bit more crunch. So you can hear there's a little bit of a distortion. And especially on lower amounts, this can be really great to give you more of a Juno 60 vintage analog style chorus. Or if you're putting this on a guitar and you want just a little bit of crunch, then I would increase the warmth control just to make that guitar patch a little bit more exciting, just to give it a bit more bite. So the new and updated Chorus-Ensemble effect is really awesome and adds a ton of different features that are super nice to have. And also this new visual interface is a really great indicator of what's happening with the device, making it a lot easier to set up your new chorus patches. That's all for this device. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next video.